Lieutenant Jack Morgan stood by the viewport of the Earth Alliance vessel Horizons watching the stars. His reflection stared back at him, tall, broad-shouldered, with short brown hair and serious eyes. As the ship's diplomatic security officer, Jack knew the next few hours could change human history forever. Lieutenant Morgan, report to Docking Bay 3. First contact procedures are commencing, a voice announced over the ship's comm system. Jack straightened his uniform and headed down the corridor. The Horizons had traveled for 3 months to reach this neutral location where humanity would meet the Tarvani for the first time. After years of long-range communication, both species had agreed to face-to-face talks. In the docking bay, Captain Susan Mitchell waited with the diplomatic team. Her gray-streaked hair was pulled back in a tight bun, and she looked tense. "Morgan, you're our security lead for this meeting," she said. "Remember, observe everything but interfere with nothing unless there's clear danger." The Tarvani insisted on this cultural exchange before formal alliance discussions. "Yes, Captain," Jack replied. "Any last-minute intelligence on their customs?" Susan shook her head. "They're an ancient species with complex social structures. They value strength and honesty. Beyond that, follow the xenoculture briefing." A soft hiss announced the docking procedure was complete. The airlock cycled open, revealing 3 tall, slender aliens with iridescent blue-green skin. Each had 4 arms and elongated necks that swayed slightly as they moved. The tallest Tarvani stepped forward. "I am Ambassador Zixtrol. We welcome humans to this historic meeting." Jack studied them carefully. Their movements were fluid, almost hypnotic. The translator device rendered their high-pitched sounds into English with only a slight delay. Captain Mitchell smiled. "Ambassador, we're honored. I'm Captain Susan Mitchell of the Earth Alliance. This is our diplomatic corps and Lieutenant Morgan, head of security." The alien's large, pupil-less eyes examined each human. When Zixtrol's gaze fell on Jack, the lieutenant felt an odd tingling sensation at the back of his neck. The meeting proceeded smoothly at first. Both sides exchanged cultural artifacts and information, while Jack remained vigilant at the edge of the room. He noticed that Ambassador Zixtrol kept glancing at him throughout the discussions. 2 hours into the meeting, Captain Mitchell suggested a brief recess. The diplomats dispersed in small groups, and Jack found himself alone in a corridor with Ambassador Zixtrol. "You are the protector," Zixtrol said, moving closer. "I have been watching you." Jack nodded politely. "It's my duty to ensure everyone's safety." Zixtrol's neck undulated strangely. "In our culture, we test those who would be allies." Before Jack could respond, the alien moved with shocking speed. 2 of its 4 arms shot out, grasping Jack's throat. Jack reacted on instinct. Years of combat training took over as he twisted away from the grip and countered. The alien was stronger than any human, but Jack managed to slip behind Zixtrol. He wrapped his arms around the alien's neck appendage and squeezed, applying pressure to what looked like vital blood vessels. Zixtrol thrashed violently, its other arms clawing at Jack. The alien's skin felt slick and rubbery under Jack's grip, but he held on, fighting for his life. Gradually, the Tarvani's struggles weakened. Jack maintained the hold until the alien slumped unconscious to the floor. Breathing hard, Jack released his grip and stepped back. At that moment, the door slid open. 3 Tarvani and several human diplomats rushed in, freezing at the sight before them. "What have you done?" gasped one of the human diplomats. The Tarvani made high-pitched sounds that the translators couldn't process. Their neck appendages flared in what Jack assumed was alarm or anger. Captain Mitchell pushed through the crowd, her face pale with shock. "Lieutenant Morgan, explain yourself immediately." Jack stood up straight, still catching his breath. "Captain, the ambassador attacked me without warning. I defended myself using non-lethal restraint." The Tarvani gathered around their fallen leader, who was beginning to stir. The tension in the room was thick enough to cut with a knife. "This is a diplomatic disaster," Captain Mitchell whispered. She turned to the Tarvani. I offer our deepest apologies for this incident. I assure you, there will be consequences. To everyone's surprise, one of the Tarvani stepped forward. The human must come with us to explain to the High Council. Jack's heart sank. He had just strangled a foreign diplomat and possibly destroyed humanity's first chance at an interstellar alliance. Jack sat alone in a holding cell aboard the Horizons *. The bare metal walls seemed to close in on him as he replayed the incident with Ambassador Zixtrol in his mind. 6 hours had passed since he'd been locked away, waiting for his fate to be decided. The door slid open, and Captain Susan Mitchell entered. Her face was unreadable. How bad is it? Jack asked, standing up. Susan sighed. The Tarvani have been in close communications with their High Council. Ambassador Zixtrol has recovered fully, but the diplomatic team is preparing for the worst. We might have to hand you over to them for judgment. Jack nodded grimly. I understand, Captain. But I need you to know that I didn't start this. The ambassador attacked me first. I believe you, Morgan, Susan said, but my belief doesn't matter much in interstellar politics. Humanity needs this alliance. We're alone out here, and the Tarvani have technologies and resources we desperately need. A soft beep came from Susan's communicator. She pressed it. Mitchell here. Captain, said a voice. The Tarvani delegation is requesting an immediate meeting, and they specifically asked for Lieutenant Morgan's presence. Susan's eyebrows rose. Well, that was faster than expected. They must have reached a decision. Jack's stomach tightened. They want me there for the sentencing. Let's not jump to conclusions, Susan said, though her tone wasn't convincing. Come on. 2 armed security officers escorted Jack and the captain to the ship's conference room. Inside, 5 Tarvani waited, including Ambassador Zixtrol, who stood tall and showed no signs of their earlier struggle. The humans took their seats across from the aliens. Jack kept his face neutral, though his heart pounded in his chest. Ambassador Zixtrol spoke first. The High Council has reviewed the incident between myself and Lieutenant Morgan. Jack braced himself for the worst. They have reached an unexpected conclusion. Zixtrol continued. Lieutenant Morgan is to be commended. A stunned silence fell over the human side of the table. Susan blinked rapidly. I'm sorry, Ambassador. Could you repeat that? Zixtrol's neck swayed in what might have been amusement. Your security officer demonstrated remarkable skill and restraint. He subdued me without permanent harm using a technique no other species has employed against us. It was impressive. I don't understand, Jack said. You attacked me. Yes, Zixtrol agreed simply. It is our way to test potential allies. Most species fail, either by using excessive force or by being easily defeated. You did neither. Another Tarvani stepped forward. I am Coordinator Kelnat of the Tarvani High Council, joining through this representative. We have been observing your species for some time, but witnessing your adaptive defense firsthand has answered many questions. Susan leaned forward. So this was some kind of test. Yes, Kelnat replied. And Lieutenant Morgan's response revealed much about human nature. You are physically weaker than most spacefaring species, yet you find ways to prevail. Jack looked at Susan, who seemed as confused as he felt. The High Council has a proposal, Kelnat continued. In 3 cycles, representatives from 15 galactic civilizations will gather for the Peace Summit on Nexus Station. We invite Lieutenant Morgan to attend as Earth's representative. Captain Mitchell gasped. That's unprecedented. We didn't expect to be included in galactic politics for decades. Kelnat's large eyes fixed on Jack. The summit addresses matters that may concern Earth directly. Lieutenant Morgan's presence is not merely symbolic. A human diplomat who had been quiet until now spoke up. This is extremely irregular. Lieutenant Morgan is a security officer, not a diplomat. Surely someone else would be better suited. No, Zixtrol interrupted. The invitation is specifically for the human who demonstrated such unique problem-solving abilities. The one who strangled me. Jack swallowed hard. Why me? Zixtral and Kelnat exchanged looks before Kelnat answered. Because, Lieutenant Morgan, the galaxy faces threats that conventional thinking cannot solve. And humans, as you have demonstrated, think differently. The meeting ended shortly after, leaving the humans in stunned silence. As they filed out, Captain Mitchell pulled Jack aside. Congratulations, Lieutenant. You strangled an alien ambassador and somehow got yourself invited to the most important diplomatic event in the galaxy. Jack shook his head in disbelief. What happens now? Susan's expression turned serious. Now we prepare you for a summit where humanity's future will be decided, and hope that whatever impressed them about you wasn't a fluke. Dr. Olivia Bennett had studied alien cultures for 15 years, but she had never expected to be teaching a crash course in galactic diplomacy to a man who had strangled an ambassador. She watched Jack pace back and forth in the ship's library as she laid out digital files on the table. You need to stop moving, Lieutenant Morgan, she said. We only have 2 weeks before we reach Nexus Station, and you have a lot to learn. Jack sat down reluctantly. I'm a security officer, not a diplomat. I still don't understand why they want me at this summit. Olivia pushed her glasses up her nose. That's what we're going to figure out. She pulled up a holographic display showing the Tarvani physiology. I've been reviewing the recordings of your encounter with Ambassador Zixtral and comparing it with what we know about the Tarvani. The display showed a detailed image of a Tarvani's long neck. This neck structure is both their strength and weakness. It contains major blood vessels and neural pathways. By restricting it, you essentially found their off switch. So I got lucky, Jack said. Not exactly, Olivia replied. In the 300 years the Tarvani have been meeting other species, no one has ever targeted that vulnerability. Most species go for the main body or the limbs. Jack frowned, but it was obvious. Their neck is thin and exposed. Obvious to humans, maybe, Olivia said. But for many alien species, it wouldn't be. Their own physiology and cultural responses wouldn't lead them to that solution. She pulled up another display showing data on various alien species. I've been communicating with the Tarvani xenobiologists. They find humans fascinating because we're relatively weak compared to most spacefaring species. That's encouraging, Jack muttered. But, Olivia continued, we're incredibly adaptable. We see weaknesses others miss. We use leverage instead of brute force. The way you took down Ambassador Zixtral proved something they suspected about humans. Jack leaned forward. Which is? That we think differently, Olivia said. And they believe that might be valuable against some threat they're facing. The door to the library slid open, and Captain Susan Mitchell walked in with Ambassador Zixtral. Jack stood up quickly. At ease, Lieutenant, Susan said. The ambassador has requested to speak with you privately. Dr. Bennett can stay as your cultural advisor. Zixtral's tall form seemed to flow rather than walk as he approached the table. Lieutenant Morgan, I hope you do not harbor ill feelings about our first meeting. Jack cleared his throat. No, Ambassador. Though a warning would have been nice. The Tarvani's neck swayed in what Olivia had explained was their equivalent of laughter. A test with a warning is no test at all. Ambassador, Olivia said, we're still trying to understand why Jack's presence is required at the summit. Zixtral looked around the room before answering. What I tell you now is not widely known. The alien's voice dropped lower. The galaxy faces a threat. A species we call the Devourers has been destroying worlds at the outer reaches. Jack and Olivia exchanged concerned glances. The Tarvani and 11 other advanced species have formed a council to address this threat, but we have been unsuccessful in our strategies. And you think humans can help? Jack asked skeptically. Zixtral's large eyes fixed on Jack. We think differently. All 12 species think in similar patterns because we evolved with similar challenges. Humans evolved in isolation, under unique pressures. The alien touched its neck where Jack had grabbed it. You found a weakness no other species saw, using minimal force. This suggests humans may see solutions to the devourer threat that we cannot. So I'm not attending as a diplomat, Jack said. I'm attending as a what? A tactical advisor. You are attending as a hope, Zixtral said simply. A hope that human adaptability might save us all. After the ambassador left, Jack turned to Olivia. How am I supposed to help fight an enemy I know nothing about? Olivia gathered her files. The same way you handled the ambassador. Observe, adapt, find the weakness. She smiled slightly. And maybe a bit of strangling if necessary. Jack couldn't help but laugh. Let's hope it doesn't come to that. The Tarvani flagship * Eternal Daybreak * dwarfed the human vessel * Horizons *. Jack stood at the viewing port, watching as his home for the past months grew smaller. Beside him, Dr. Olivia Bennett and Commander Alan Harris waited silently. They were Jack's support team for the journey to Nexus Station. It's not too late to pick someone else, Jack said, turning to Commander Harris. The older man shook his head. Captain's orders were clear. You're the one they requested, and you're the one they get. He checked his sidearm, making sure it was secure. Besides, I'm here to keep you safe. A soft chime sounded, and a Tarvani escort appeared. The council representatives await you in the Grand Chamber. Jack straightened his new diplomatic uniform, which felt stiff and uncomfortable. Dr. Bennett gave him an encouraging nod as they followed their guide through the ship's twisting corridors. The Grand Chamber took Jack's breath away. The ceiling stretched at least 30 feet high, with strange glowing orbs floating freely. Around a massive round table sat creatures of every shape and size. Some had tentacles, others had multiple eyes, and one appeared to be made entirely of crystalline structures. Ambassador Zixtral moved forward to meet them. Representatives of Earth, I present you to the preliminary council. All eyes turned to Jack. He felt his mouth go dry. Which one is the human who bested a Tarvani warrior? Asked a squat, reptilian creature with scales that shifted color as it spoke. Zixtral gestured to Jack. This is Lieutenant Jack Morgan of Earth. A low murmur spread through the room. Jack caught whispers translated through his earpiece. So small. Fragile looking. How did it manage? A tall gray being with 4 arms stepped forward. Its voice sounded like grinding stone. I am General Vorkath of the Vorex Imperium. We find your inclusion premature. Jack recognized the name from his briefings. The Vorex were a militaristic species known for their aggression and territorial expansion. The Tarvani believe humans offer a fresh perspective. Jack replied carefully, using the diplomatic phrases Olivia had taught him. We are honored to be included. General Vorkath's upper lip curled. Fresh perspective, or fresh meat. The galaxy is not a playground for primitive species. Ambassador Zixtral intervened. The human presence was approved by majority vote, General. Your objection has been noted. The meeting continued with each species introducing themselves. Jack tried to remember the complex names and titles, while noting which seemed friendly and which shared the Vorex's skepticism. Later, in their assigned quarters, Commander Harris ran a scanner for listening devices. Clean, he said finally. But I wouldn't say anything sensitive just in case. Dr. Bennett pulled out her tablet. Jack, you did well. The Vorex were the only ones who openly objected to your presence. But not the only ones thinking it, Jack said. Why do the Vorex hate humans so much? We've never even met them before. Power and control, Commander Harris said. The Vorex dominate several smaller species. If humans gain influence, it threatens their position. A soft knock interrupted them. When Jack opened the door, Ambassador Zixtral stood outside. May I enter? The Tarvani asked. What I have to share should not be overheard. Once inside, Zixtral lowered his voice. You should know that the journey to Nexus Station takes us through contested space. The Vorex control this region, but they do not admit it publicly. Are we in danger? Commander Harris asked, hand moving toward his weapon. Possibly, Zixtrol said. But there is more. We believe the Vorics know more about the Devourers than they admit. They may even have had contact with them. Jack frowned. You think they're working with these Devourers? Not working with them, Zixtrol said. Appeasing them. Sacrificing less developed worlds to protect their own territories. Dr. Bennett gasped. And Earth might be on the sacrifice list. Before Zixtrol could answer, a violent shudder ran through the ship. Alarms began to wail. We are under attack, Zixtrol said, his neck straightening in alarm. The Vorics claim pirates operate in this region, but the timing is suspicious. Commander Harris drew his weapon. What's our move? Zixtrol turned to Jack. Now, Lieutenant Morgan, we shall see if human adaptability extends beyond hand-to-hand combat. The ship rocked again as another blast hit the shields. Jack braced himself against the wall, while Commander Harris tried to contact the bridge. No response. Harris said grimly, putting away his communicator. We need to get to the command center. Jack nodded. Zixtrol, can you lead us there? The Tarvani ambassador looked uncertain. I am not military personnel. But yes, I know the way. As they rushed through the corridors, other aliens were running in all directions. Some wore what looked like battle armor, while others seemed to be civilians seeking shelter. Who's attacking us? Jack asked as they ran. Officially, pirates, Zixtrol replied. But the attack pattern suggests Vorics technology. They reached a security checkpoint where several Tarvani guards blocked their path. Ambassador, no non-military personnel beyond this point, one guard said firmly. These humans are under my protection, Zixtrol argued. Lieutenant Morgan has been requested by the High Council. The guard hesitated, then nodded. The command center is in crisis. If the human can help, proceed. Inside the command center, chaos reigned. Tarvani officers worked frantically at control panels while a main screen showed 3 small attack ships firing on them. A Tarvani commander approached them. Ambassador, why have you brought outsiders here? Commander Sivarak, Lieutenant Morgan may offer assistance. Humans have unique tactical thinking. The commander looked skeptical but desperate. Our main weapons system is offline. The attackers somehow knew exactly where to hit us. We can't fire back, and our shields are failing. Jack studied the tactical display. The 3 enemy ships moved in a tight formation, taking turns to fire at specific points on the Tarvani ship. They're targeting your shield generators in sequence, Jack said. Classic wolf pack tactics. We know this, Sivarak said impatiently, but we cannot maneuver fast enough to protect all points. Jack pointed to the display. You don't need to. Your ship has escape pods, right? The commander looked confused. Yes, but evacuation is premature. I don't want to use them for evacuation, Jack explained. Launch empty pods, but program them to fly toward the attacking ships. Dr. Bennett understood first. Decoys. Exactly, Jack said. The enemy will either have to break formation to avoid the pods or waste shots destroying them. Either way, it disrupts their pattern. Commander Sivarak considered this for only a moment. Simple but potentially effective. We will try. Orders were given, and within minutes, a dozen escape pods launched from the ship's underbelly. As Jack had predicted, the attacking ships broke their tight formation to avoid collisions. Now, Jack urged, while they're scattered. The Tarvani weren't able to fire their main weapons, but they still had maneuvering thrusters. The massive ship suddenly lurched forward, ramming one of the smaller attack vessels. The enemy ship spiraled away, damaged. Seeing one of their pack disabled, the other 2 ships quickly retreated. The command center erupted in sounds that Jack's translator interpreted as cheers. Commander Sivarak approached, his neck bent in what Jack now recognized as a gesture of respect. Your strategy was unconventional but effective, the commander said. The Tarvani battle doctrine would never have considered using escape pods as weapons. Humans often use what's available when ideal tools aren't an option, Jack explained. Ambassador Zixtroll's neck swayed with satisfaction. This is exactly why humans were invited to the summit. You see possibilities where we see only protocols. Later, as repairs were underway, Jack, Dr. Bennett, and Commander Harris gathered in a private room. The attack was too convenient, Harris said, right after Zixtroll told us about the Vorex suspicions. Dr. Bennett nodded. They might have been listening after all, or have spies on board. Jack stared out at the stars. This isn't just about proving humans are useful allies. There's something bigger happening. What do you mean? Dr. Bennett asked. Think about it, Jack said. If the Vorex are sacrificing worlds to the Devourers, and Earth is next, then attending this summit isn't just a diplomatic honor. It might be humanity's only chance for survival. Harris checked his weapon again. Then we better make sure you get to Nexus Station alive, Lieutenant. The ship lurched slightly as it resumed its journey. Somewhere ahead, Nexus Station awaited, along with representatives from 30 spacefaring civilizations, and answers about the threat to Earth. Nexus Station hung in space like a giant metal snowflake, its 7 massive arms stretching outward from a glowing central hub. Jack stood at the viewing port of the Tarvani ship as they approached, with Dr. Bennett beside him. It's beautiful, she whispered. And dangerous, Commander Harris added, joining them. Every major power in this sector has representatives there, including the Vorex. After docking, they were escorted to their quarters in the diplomatic wing. The station's artificial gravity felt slightly off to Jack, making each step seem too light. The summit begins in 6 hours, Ambassador Zixtroll informed them. Lieutenant Morgan, you will be formally presented to the Galactic Council. Jack nodded, trying to hide his nervousness. What exactly am I supposed to say to them? The truth, Zixtroll replied. How you subdued me and why. Your human perspective may be our greatest weapon. After the ambassador left, Dr. Bennett helped Jack prepare, reviewing key diplomatic phrases and cultural taboos to avoid. Commander Harris, meanwhile, swept the room for surveillance devices. We're being watched, Harris said quietly when he finished. Nothing I can disable without alerting them. Probably standard for all guests, Dr. Bennett suggested. Harris didn't look convinced. Stay alert. The Vorex tried to stop us from getting here. They might try something more direct now. 6 hours later, Jack stood before the Galactic Council in an enormous circular chamber. Representatives from 30 species sat in tiered seats, their varied forms creating a living mosaic of galactic diversity. At the center was a platform where Jack now stood, feeling very small and very human. The council elder, a being with translucent skin that revealed pulsing organs beneath, spoke first. We welcome the human, Jack Morgan, whose actions have brought his species to our attention sooner than anticipated. Jack took a deep breath. Thank you for including Earth in this summit. I come seeking understanding and offering alliance. General Vorkath of the Vorex stood up, his gray skin darkening with emotion. This human has no place here. Their species has barely left their solar system. They know nothing of galactic matters. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Ambassador Zixtroll rose. The human demonstrated unique problem-solving abilities when confronted with a superior opponent. Such thinking may be valuable against the Devourer threat. The strangling incident. Vorkath scoffed. A lucky move against an unprepared diplomat. Jack felt his face grow hot. It wasn't luck. Ambassador Zixtroll attacked me as a test. I observed a vulnerability and exploited it with minimal force. It's what humans do. We adapt. An insectoid representative clicked its mandibles. Explain this adaptation further. Humans evolved as persistence hunters on a world with apex predators, far stronger than ourselves, Jack said, remembering Dr. Bennett's coaching. We survived not by being the strongest, but by observing, learning, and finding creative solutions. The chamber grew quiet as Jack continued. When Ambassador Zixtroll attacked me, I noticed the neck was both a strength, allowing for greater vision and mobility. And a weakness. I use that knowledge to end the conflict quickly without permanent harm. The council elder's skin rippled with colors. Interesting. And you believe this approach would work against the Devourers? I don't know, Jack admitted honestly. But I suspect your current strategies haven't worked because you're all thinking similarly. Humans might see different options. As the council debated, a small alert flashed on Jack's communicator. It was from Dr. Bennett. URGNT. Found Vorex data. Earth is targeted. Devourers ETA 3 months. Jack's blood ran cold. While the council discussed humanity's possible contribution, Earth was already marked for destruction. General Vorkath was speaking again, his voice filled with disdain. This human offers nothing but primitive thinking and— General, Jack interrupted, earning gasps from the assembly. Since we're being honest here, let's discuss what the Vorex know about the Devourers' plans for Earth. The chamber fell silent. General Vorkath's face contorted with rage. I have no idea what you're talking about, human. I think you do, Jack said, stepping forward. And I think it's time the council learned exactly how the Vorex have been keeping the Devourers away from their own worlds. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Representatives shouted questions while General Vorkath's guards moved protectively around him. This is outrageous, the Vorex leader bellowed. The human makes wild accusations without evidence. The council elder raised all 4 arms, calling for silence. Lieutenant Morgan, these are serious claims. Do you have proof? Jack nodded to Dr. Bennett, who stood at the edge of the chamber. She stepped forward, holding a data tablet. With Ambassador Zixtrol's help, I accessed records of communications between Vorex ships and unknown entities at the edge of charted space, she explained. The data shows regular transmissions followed by changes in the Devourers' attack patterns. She projected the information onto the chamber's main display. Star maps showed the Devourers' path shifting away from Vorex territories while heading toward less developed systems. General Vorkath's skin darkened further. These are military communications. You had no right to access them. So you don't deny they exist? Jack asked, stepping closer to the Vorex leader. The insectoid representative clicked rapidly. If the Vorex have been redirecting the Devourers toward weaker worlds, we did what was necessary for survival. Vorkath finally shouted, losing his composure. The Devourers cannot be defeated, only diverted. We protected our people. The chamber fell silent at this confession. By sacrificing others, Jack said quietly, including Earth. Vorkath's eyes narrowed. Your world is nothing to us. Billions of Vorex lives matter more than a primitive species that stumbled into space travel. Jack took a deep breath. That's where you're wrong. Every life matters, and every species deserves a chance to fight for survival. He turned to address the entire council. The Vorex solution isn't sustainable. Eventually, the Devourers will run out of sacrifices and come for you all. We need to face them together. The council elder's skin pulsed with deep blue light. What do you propose, human? First, a combined fleet to intercept the Devourers before they reach Earth, Jack said. Second, form a true alliance, not one built on secrets and sacrifices. Vorkath laughed bitterly. And what can humans contribute to this grand alliance? More strangling techniques. Human unpredictability, Ambassador Zixtrol answered. Their history is filled with victories against superior forces through adaptation and innovation. The Tarvani are right, added a crystalline being Jack hadn't met before. My species has studied Earth's conflicts. Humans repeatedly overcome technological and numerical disadvantages through unconventional tactics. General Vorkath stepped toward Jack, looming over him. Fine words, but the Devourers are unlike anything you faced. They consume entire worlds. Jack didn't back down. Then help us understand them. Share everything the Vorex know instead of hoarding information. And if I refuse? Vorkath growled. Jack moved faster than anyone expected. Using the same technique he'd employed against Zixtroll, he caught the Vorax general's neck in the crook of his arm. The general's guards raised their weapons, but the council elder ordered them to stand down. "I could end this now," Jack said quietly, so only Vorkath could hear. "But unlike you, I believe all lives matter." He released the general, who staggered back, gasping. Twice now, a human has subdued a physically superior opponent, the council elder observed. Perhaps there is merit in their approach. In the days that followed, the council voted to form a new alliance that included Earth as a full member. A combined fleet was assembled to intercept the Devourers, incorporating human tactical advisors alongside the advanced technology of other species. On the observation deck of Nexus Station, Jack stood with Dr. Bennett and Commander Harris, watching ships prepare for departure. "What happens now?" Dr. Bennett asked. Jack smiled slightly. "Now we do what humans have always done. We adapt, we fight, and we survive." Commander Harris nodded. "All because you strangled an alien ambassador and got invited to a peace summit." Jack added, "Let's hope it was worth it." As the massive fleet began moving out, Jack thought about Earth, still unaware of the danger it faced or the unlikely hero who now stood as its first representative to the stars. Whatever came next, humanity would no longer face the universe alone.